Well, I tell you what, we talked about this issue a lot when it happened earlier this year when HB2 was passed in North Carolina, which, of course, dealt with which bathroom you can use depending on your gender. They still call it the bathroom bill because, among other things, it required trans people to use bathrooms that matched the sex on their birth certificate. And it was all passed in response to something that they'd done up there in Charlotte. Well, now they're about to have a new governor, and today the legislature is going to vote on whether to rescind this bill. Fox News Radio's Eben Brown is reporting on this today. Eben, how are you?
Good afternoon.
So what in the world is the legislature doing?
Well, we'd like to know the answer to that question. They were called into special session at 10 o'clock this morning and then went right into recess. And every time they're supposed to come back, they come back and say, we're going to recess further. So now they're supposed to be back, I think, at 3. Or maybe it's 2:45. And we'll see what they've come up with, whether or not they're going to recess again.
So
now, from the outside looking in, it just looks like they keep taking breaks. But they're probably in caucus sessions and committee meetings and things like that, not happening inside their actual legislative chambers, and they're trying to work on the language that they will propose for what is expected to be a repeal of North Carolina's, as you mentioned it, the bathroom bill, which was a law that was passed in response to a Charlotte city ordinance that said a transgender person could use the public restroom of their gender identity as opposed to their birth gender.
Now, there was the hang-up here was that the Republicans who passed this originally weren't willing to reconsider it unless the city of Charlotte reversed course, correct?
That is correct. That had sort of been the whole deal from the beginning. When Charlotte passed their ordinance, I believe it was in February, the state then passed this law and said, hey, if you get rid of your ordinance, we'll get rid of this law. That only happened after the Republican governor lost his reelection bid, which that race was actually, I think, just decided last week or perhaps the week before because of recounts. And now that the governor is outgoing, there's the Democrat, the current Attorney General of the state, who's a Democrat by the name of Roy Cooper, is going to be the new governor starting, I think, January 1. And the city of Charlotte decided right then and there to drop the ordinance, making the legislature say, okay, well, you said you would, so now we're going to do our part.
I know the NBA and several other groups decided to pull events out of North Carolina as a result of this. Some people argued that whether you like it or not, the economic impact was real.
It was a very real impact. It's not just the NBA or the NCAA not having sporting events there. A lot of very large international companies, especially in the finance sector, were considering big expansions into certain cities in Charlotte, like Raleigh, certain cities in the state like Charlotte and Raleigh. Some medical technology, pharmaceutical companies were planning on building campuses. A lot of this either got put on hold or didn't happen because of this law, and that affected a lot of people. Those were going to be thousands of permanent and well-paying jobs that never materialized.
Mm-hmm. So at they'd already been in special session, and they got out, and they've come back into special session, and we still don't know if they're going to do anything or not, correct?
Well, they started at 10 o'clock. The governor called the special session, and it started today at 10 o'clock this morning. As soon as they came in and gavelled in, they said, okay, recess. And every time they've come back from when they said they were going to come back, and this is happening in both chambers, by the way, the state Senate and the state House of Representatives, they keep saying, all right, we're going to recess till, another hour and another hour and another hour. And they're probably, like I said, they're in committee. They're caucusing, on the party side as well. They're probably conversing with colleagues from the opposite houses on how they want to word their bill.
Eben Brown, Fox News Radio, thanks for your time.
You're welcome.
Yep. Have a great day. You know what?